Hey guys, today I'm talking about growing sweet potatoes, or more likely the real thing that they're called is yams, I believe is the technical term, but I just call them sweet potatoes as most of the rest of the world. But I'm going to show you the step-by-step procedure of growing sweet potatoes in buckets or large containers, and some of the mistakes you might make along the way. You need to make sure that you follow a few rules. So let's get started on growing sweet potatoes in containers. We'll go out to the garden and I'll show you step by step how to do that. So when talking about containers to grow your sweet potatoes in, I like doing it in a 5-gallon bucket. These came from Firehouse Subs and they were really discounted. I think you can get them for, I believe, $3 each, and it goes to a good cause to help firemen. Of course, your Lowe's buckets, these are a little bit more expensive. And this last bucket is a bucket that I had used previously. I already have my holes drilled there, which I will talk about that in just a second. But when it comes to buckets, the darker colored buckets are going to attract more heat. So if you live in an area like I do in zone 7A, where the buckets can get really hot, I would recommend going with a white bucket, or taking your bucket and painting it white on the outside with some spray paint, and that can reflect a little bit of the summertime heat, because these are going to be growing in the summertime into the early fall when you're going to harvest them. So just remember that white would be better. Also, talking about food grade, now there's on the bottom of these buckets, often you need to look and you'll see a small, it's the number 2 inside of a triangle. So you want to look at your buckets. We'll take a look at the Lowe's bucket and see if we can find that same number 2 there. So even a Lowe's bucket, you wouldn't think about it being food grade, but this is food grade. And then third bucket we know is food grade. It's got the number 2 HDPE. This was actually used by Firehouse Sub to transport pickles that they use in their sandwiches. So all 3 of these are food grade. So a lot of people are very against plastics, but unfortunately we live in a world that is nothing but plastic. You're probably wearing plastic right now. You probably ride in a vehicle that you're surrounded by plastic. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And I know there's a lot of controversy and a lot of negative speak about plastics, but it's just part of modern society is plastic. So I'm going to go with my white bucket, and let's talk for a second about drilling the holes in your bucket. Now, these are about 1/2 inch or 3/8 holes I've drilled. Make sure you drill them all the way around the outside. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up with a big mess. So that's one of the most critical steps. And I know that's common sense, but a lot of people may not realize that you got to have drainage holes just as you would on any flower pot. Now, another note on containers is you're not limited to 5-gallon buckets. This is a cloth grow bag, really large. I think it's about a 20-gallon, I believe. I'll put a link to these down below. These are really great, but you have to remember that they're going to probably release water quicker than you would out of a standard 5-gallon bucket or plastic bucket. So if you're really anti-plastic, you can go with something like this grow bag. You can also get these large tubs at Lowe's or Home Depot. Normally you'll see ropes in each side of them. I've already removed them because I just move it around the greenhouse a lot. And so this would be an excellent container to grow sweet potatoes in, as well as some of these plastic tub containers. These were like super cheap at the big box store. So anyways, you're not limited to a 5-gallon bucket. You can use other things, but I just like the 5-gallon bucket. That's the way I've been doing it for the last several years. So let's get started on the 5-gallon bucket fill up. Now let's talk for a second on how to generate your slips from your sweet potatoes. You're going to start with a sweet potato in a glass jar like this, or also you can use a aluminum pan like this, turn it on its side and fill it with soil, and your slips will generate off the sides of your sweet potato. But lately I've been using just the glass container, and so this one I've already harvested just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I harvested these so I could get some roots started in water. That's one thing you have to remember. You're not planting this directly in soil. You're going to remove your slips, which is these right here, and when they were broken off there was no roots on them, but as you can see they've grown roots rather quickly. And so they've grown into each other a little bit. I want you to be able to see these clearly. In just about less than 2 weeks, we went for a freshly broken slip from the potato, put it in a container of water on the kitchen windowsill, and just let them generate their roots. You need to do that step before you go to the last step of the bucket. But as you can see, this one has a massive amount of roots growing on it. This was started back in the winter. I just bought one of these at the store. That's another tip to remember, that you want to go with organic, because if you purchase a potato that's been treated with a sprout inhibitor, they don't want these sprouting at the store. So sometimes they are treated with sprout inhibitors and it won't work. So you want organic potatoes. This one right here, these were both started at the same time, and these were the slips were harvested recently. But this one, they're ready to harvest, and each one of these slips will go into its own bucket. Some people say put multiple slips in a bucket, but you're going to have a smaller potato. You're not going to have large potatoes like this. You're going to have them maybe 50% smaller than this size. So just remember that you're doing one slip per bucket and a maximum of two. If you think that the slip might fail, you could do two, but they're probably not going to fail. So you just want to remember one slip per bucket. That's the way I like to do it. But basically, you're just breaking off these slips, putting them in the water, and allowing the roots to form. Now, in regards to fertilizing, I personally like Schultz Bloom Plus because its phosphorus amount is very, very high. It's a 10-54-10, so the phosphorus, the middle number, is extremely high, and that's for generating roots, and also it helps with flowering things. So I'm just going to say that I like this personally, but if you want to go the organic route, then I would say you need to have a lot of bone meal and blood meal. You need to add both of these to it. I would say probably quarter cup to each bucket. A lot of it, because these are heavy feeders, so you want a lot of nitrogen and a lot of phosphorus. But the phosphorus is going to be the most important because we're generating a root system that's going to create these tubers to the technically sweet potatoes or yams. So just remember, if you want to skip the non-organic fertilizers, then go with blood meal and bone meal, and make sure you put a lot in there. The more the better. Of course, you don't want to put a massive amount, but I would say about a quarter cup in each one of these in your 5-gallon bucket. Now, I mentioned generating your own slips, and May is an ideal time to plant these in your buckets, but a lot of people kind of let the summertime slip up on them, and there's a way to get around that. If you don't want to generate your own slips, there's a couple places I know of where you can get slips shipped to you fairly quickly. Now, it's going to come through the mail, so it may take 5 to 7 days, but you can go to Etsy or eBay, and I believe they sell a lot of varieties of slips on there, and probably more than you can find at your local supermarket. These are hard to find. I have to go to a specialty organic grocery store to get these because my wife likes purple sweet potatoes, and these are intensely purple on the inside, which is a very popular sweet potato in Asia. So if you want to skip generating your own slips, go to Etsy or eBay and just purchase some there. I won't put any links because those sellers come and go, and so they may not be permanent. I don't believe anybody is selling these on Amazon. You can check me on that, but I think your best bet if you want to forego creating your own slips is to get it from but Etsy and eBay. Now, you want to make sure that you're using a very loose potting soil. You don't want to go out in the yard and dig up some heavy clay soil like I have, but you want it to be very loose and easy for the tubers to grow down into the soil. So I would say that if you want to create your own soil, I've got a video here that will tell you how to create your own soil. But if you want a good quality soil, I've been kind of disappointed with Miracle-Gro lately, because so I guess you would say that inside of the bag it looked like it was about 50% sawdust, and I really didn't like that. I really wanted a quality soil. So you want to make sure that you're getting a good quality soil or make your own. So that's what's so important, is you don't want a heavy compacted soil, because the tubers or the potatoes or the yams, whatever you want to call them, are not going to grow well in that compacted soil. So you want it to be really loose. You want to add some organic matter, some black cow. You want to mix that into it, maybe 2 cups per 5-gallon bucket, and then fill it up after it's mixed. So that's really important to have really high in organic, because they are heavy feeders, as I said earlier. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I've pre-drilled the holes in my 5-gallon bucket, and one thing I always do, whether it's a hanging basket or any type of pot, I'll usually put just a simple paper towel in there, and it's going to break down over a period of months or years. But what that does is that helps with the drainage and prevents soil washout, and might actually prevent insects from getting back into your container, bucket, hanging basket, whatever. So I usually like to always do that. So we're going to fill this up to within about 3 inches of the top of this bucket. We want to leave just enough room for this product right here. I'll talk about it. It's really important that you do this step because it's going to keep your potato soil from drying out. So let's do this first, and then I'll tell you exactly what that is. Now we're going to add our purple sweet potatoes to the bucket. And one thing I wanted to say about adding only 1 sweet potato, you can add more than 1 sweet potato slip to a bucket. You could do 2 or 3 in here, but the size of your potato is going to be significantly smaller. Now, if that's not an issue, you don't care about the size, then that's fine. But by doing just 1, you're going to have a much larger potato, possibly 2 to 3 pounds per potato, but you're not going to get a massive number, but they are going to be larger. So what I'm going to do with this paint stick, I'm just going to create about 6 to 9 inches in there, depending on the slip itself. And we're going to put this into the soil. It looks like we have one here. It looks like 2, but anyways, we're going to put that down in the soil, and we're going to just backfill it there. We have it. Now, these sweet potatoes are a vine, but they're not a climbing vine. They're just a vine that grows out across the ground. So I'm going to show you another trick that I'm going to do with each one of these buckets, which will make it take up less space, and you won't have a massive problem with sweet potatoes running all across your garden, especially if you have a limited space issue. You could do this on a balcony, on a back patio, a deck, whatever. Now, what I was talking about was this product right here, and this is what's going to keep your soil from drying out. This is called soil conditioner, and I get it at Lowe's. I've never seen it at Home Depot, but it's a very finely shredded pine bark, and so it holds the moisture in quite well. And so that's what I like to use. Now, you can use straw. You could use pine straw. You could use, I've seen some wood shavings that they use in animal cages like rabbits or things like that. You could use that. But I like this because it's going to hold the water a lot better, and it's going to keep it moist. You don't want these drying out because it's going to affect the growth of your sweet potato. So just remember, you want to make sure that you leave a nice gap there, put down your mulch on top of it. And also another thing about these paint sticks is you can use them as a plant label that will last year after year. I just wrote what's in there, purple sweet potato, and that way I know exactly if I've got a purple sweet potato, orange, yellow, Okinawan, whatever variety I have, I know because of my label. Now, as I mentioned, you want to create a sort of trellis for these to grow up. And what I'm doing is these green stakes that you can get at your local hardware store or the big box store, I take them and I put them in all 4 corners. Then at the top, I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'll show you that in just a second. I'm sure the camera angle's not picking that up. I'm going to zip tie the top of these together, and as the vine grows, I'm going to attach it so it stays attached to that through zip ties or bread ties, whatever I have handy. And then that way, this only takes up a 1 foot area, and it's not spreading all across my patio, back porch, or limited space garden. So that's another thing to remember, is you want it to grow up rather than out. Okay, so this is just some cheap zip ties I got at the Dollar Tree, and if you're interested in Dollar Tree hacks for saving money in your garden, I'll link one of those videos up above right now. And I've created 3 or 4 of those type of videos where you can buy things at the Dollar Tree that will save you money in your garden. And I'm probably going to do some more of those as well. So anyways, we have our zip tie. We're going to zip these together. I'm going to cut that off. And so now we have a little bit more of a stable trellis to grow on, and it's going to take up a minimal amount of space in your garden. Now, one thing you want to make sure you do is you're going to want to water this generally. You're going from a water environment on these slips to a soil environment, so there's a little bit of a shock that could happen there. So you want to make sure it's watered quite well. We're going to make sure we don't have hot water in the hose because it's been out in the sun all day. Now, if you're like me and you're always busy and sometimes you do forget to water, you could add something like this to the soil, and these will absorb water, swell up, and slowly release that water. And this brand is Soil Moist. There's a lot of different brands. I'll put a link to this in the description, but this will save you a lot of headaches if you can't water as often as you'd like to. Another thing you can do is you can use a micro irrigation system, which I have. I'll probably do this one on micro irrigation, but I have so many buckets of sweet potatoes, I can't do every one of them. So that's where the Soil Moist comes into play, is when I don't have a irrigation ending point that I can put in there. I can just use the Soil Moist, and that will help me if I forget. It will extend the watering time between once every few days to maybe once a week, unless I'm getting a lot of rain. But if we have a dry summer, these can really save your sweet potatoes from being very small by keeping the soil moist. So as you can see, I've gotten my purple sweet potato right here in the pan ready to put some water on it, maybe a little bit of fertilizer to boost those slips from popping out and make them speed up there just a little bit. But one thing you want to make sure you do is you want to monitor the leaves. When you see the leaves starting to yellow, if it hasn't dehydrated and it's just been, you've treated it well all summer long, usually when the leaves start to yellow, that's a sign that the tubers or the yams or the sweet potatoes are ready to harvest. And usually the harvest time is anywhere from, depending on the variety you have, 100 to 140 days, roughly about 4 to 5 months basically. So just remember, you're looking for those yellow leaves before you need to start tipping the buckets over and searching for your potatoes. Just make sure you see that. That's a sign that they're ripe. So once you've harvested your sweet potatoes, you want to store them at about 85 degrees with about 85 degrees Fahrenheit with about 85% humidity for about 10 days. Now that's going to help heal any wounds on the potatoes, and also it's going to enhance the sweetness and the flavor, and also it will keep them, it will enable them to be stored for a longer period of time. So just remember that initial 10 days really makes a difference when you're storing these if you're not going to consume them right away. And that's another thing about buckets, is if you're growing in buckets, you don't have to harvest them all at one time. Just harvest them as needed throughout the end of summer and early fall. Now I want to go over a few more tips, and some of them may be redundant, but I want to make sure that I haven't left any of these out. You're going to want to make sure that you create the rods, whether it's bamboo canes, PVC, just ordinary sticks, something where you can tie 3 sticks together and you can train them up the vine. You want to use zip ties as they grow because they're not going to cling to this naturally. Even if you have a really nice trellis behind it, kind of a structure like that, it's not going to grow well unless you manually attach it to the trellis, because these are, like I said, they want to grow along the surface of the ground. They're not climbers, but they are a vine. Now, earthworms are one of the greatest things to have in your garden. I can dig in some of my soil and I can find 3 or 4 earthworms very easily. I would recommend adding about anywhere from 5 to 10 earthworms to your bucket. And the earthworms, their castings will help the sweet potatoes as well, and help as they crawl around in the soil. They can kind of do a little bit of aeration there. Also, May, right now we're about to hit May, is one of the best months to start these tubers. Like I said, if you haven't already started I said tubers, but I meant to say your slips. So if you haven't already started your slips, you may want to order some online to get ahead of the game, because you might be able to have some ready by mid-May, but ordering them from Etsy or eBay may put you right on schedule. Now, sweet potatoes are heavy feeders, and I think if you're using store-purchased fertilizer, you want your NPK number, you want the P, the phosphorus, to be a higher number and the nitrogen to be lower, because nitrogen will produce a lot of leaves, but you want the energy going into the yam, the tuber, or the sweet potato. So that's what the P and NPK will do. So that's why I think the Schultz is one of the best things to use, unless you're going the organic route and you want to heavily put your blood meal and bone meal and mix it in there, and maybe a lot more bone meal because that is higher in phosphorus. Now, as I said earlier, I want the largest sweet potatoes I can possibly grow. So I would only say you do 1 slip per 5-gallon bucket. Now, if you have a very large container, you might get away with 2 or even 3, but it's going to be a lot larger than a 5-gallon bucket. And I like the 5-gallon bucket method. So just remember, 1 slip per 5-gallon bucket. Sorry, I know I'm being redundant, but I just think that you're going to be happier with the end results by doing just 1 slip there. Now, if you're watching this later in the year and you're approaching a frost date, then you don't want to do this unless you can transport the buckets in and out. Another reason you can do 5-gallon buckets a lot easier is because you can bring them into like a greenhouse, a garage, or a basement on really cold days, and then take them back out when your temperatures are above 50 degrees. They do not perform well in below 50 degrees or below. So just remember that if you are doing the transport method where you're taking them in and out of a greenhouse or basement, whichever, make sure your daily temperatures are above 50 degrees, and that's going to produce you more results. If you're starting sweet potatoes in the springtime, make sure you're past your frost date, because that also will destroy your slips. You want to try some sweet potato slips? Evidently, she does not like sweet potatoes. So guys, I hope this video will help you get your sweet potatoes off to a more advanced start than maybe in the past. And I hope some of these tips will help you as well. And I really appreciate you watching, and have a great day.